Four senior officers, 12 soldiers killed in Delta as Chief of Defense Staff Musa orders probe. Days after Nigeria reopens border, Niger Republic prevents entry into Katsina, Jigawa. High demand due to Ramadan fast sees price of dates go up in Kano. And on the foreign scene, freed from jail, Senegal opposition presidential candidate draws hundreds to first event ahead of election. Hello and welcome to Trust News Hour. I am Chiamaka Nwafo. Now the news. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has ordered a probe into the tragic killing of 4 senior officers and 12 soldiers in Delta State. It was guarded that the slain military personnel responded to a distress call after the communal crisis between the Okwama and Okoloba communities, both in Delta State, before they were killed on Thursday, March 14. Confirming the incident in a statement on Saturday, the Acting Director of Defense Information, Brigadier General Tukro Gusau, said the victims were surrounded by some community youths when troops of 181 Amphibious Battalion were on a peace mission at Bomadi local government area of the state. The defense spokesman said the incident has been reported to the Delta State government, adding that the CDS has also directed that the culprits be unmasked. According to him, some suspects have been arrested in connection with the incident. Now, the lead trust reporter in the state, Kelvin Melua, is joining us via phone call to give an update. Good evening, Kelvin.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Now, what can you tell us about this crisis that has led to the killing of this military personnel?
The crisis that led to this killing is yet unknown, as some are claiming is a communal crisis between the Kwama community and another one. But what really led to the killing of these soldiers are yet unknown. Has the Ijo youth, which was alleged by the community that they are responsible for the killing, have come out openly to say they are not, and they don't know the killers of these military personnel. And the monarch, respective monarch of Ewu Kingdom, the traditional ruler of Ewu Kingdom, has come out to condemn in clear terms, openly, the killings of these kings, these military personnel, and urged the military to pursue in clear terms investigation of the killings and ensure that the perpetrators are booked or come to book. So, as of today, they are still searching for the true cause of the crisis between both communities.
Okay, so now the authorities, how are they responding to this? You already said that the traditional ruler has come to condemn the attack, but so far the Delta State government, the security agencies rather, in that state, how are they responding to this incident?
So far, the Delta State government, they are yet to make any comment or issue any statement regarding the killings of these soldiers. As of now, for now, no comment here. Apart from that of the military defense headquarters, who have come out to issue a statement saying that instead of the 22 personnel that was reportedly the news are carrying that was killed, the military defense headquarters have come out to say it's only 14 of their persons that was killed, not the 22. So these are the conflicting reports that we are having as of now.
Okay, so your statement now has launched me to my next question, which was going to be the discrepancies with the casualty figures. Now, you just mentioned it again. Now, the military personnel mentions 4 senior officers, 12 soldiers, and some stories I've seen are saying close to 20. Now, is there an update? You know, what do we believe? What do we take?
For now, there is no update. The reports from the communities, like even in Delta State, almost all the news in other news outlets are to disclose are saying that it is 22. Others are saying it's 22. Other reports, other stories are saying 22. But the defense expert has come out to say it is not 22, but 14.
Okay, so do you happen to be on ground at the site of this incident? Were you able to speak with the members of the community where this took place, and do they themselves have a number?
For now, there is tension everywhere, and since this incident, everybody are camping for safety. People are running, people are playing scatter because no one wants to fall victim. So people are still running away, and the community also is a riverine community. For now, it's difficult to assess that location right now, unless we want to be a casualty. So for now, we are yet to assess that community.
Okay, all right, Kelvin Meloa, thank you so much for joining us on the News Hour tonight with the update on the situation with the army personnel and the dead. The ambush, actually. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, moving on, still staying with the army, it says its troops have eliminated 4 terrorists in an ambush and raid operations conducted in Kaduna and Katsina State. Now, Major General Onyema Nwachukwu, Director of Army Public Relations, said in a statement on Saturday that the operations that took place on Friday were successful as troops also foiled a kidnap attempt on the headmaster of a primary school in Plateau State. According to the statement, in a similar development, troops acting on actionable intelligence successfully raided terrorist hideouts at Dotsinkura in Basari local government area of Katsina State, where they successfully neutralized 2 terrorists after a fierce exchange of fire. Items recovered from the terrorists then include 181mm mortar bomb, 3 Bofeng radios, 1 empty PKT gun ammunition box, 4 bandoliers, 2 motorbikes, 4 pairs of military woodland camouflage, and 1 ballistic helmet. Still on security, bandits on Saturday kidnapped 14 villagers following an invasion of Dogonoma Ngwangamo community in Maru ward of Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State. There was no report of death, but one Jibrin Dauda, who sustained serious injury, was taken to hospital for medical attention. The overseer of Kufana district, Stephen Maikori, confirmed the incident in a report sent to Agunkofuna on Saturday as obtained by Trust TV. When contacted, the Police Public Relations Officer of the Kaduna State Command, ASP Mansour Hassan, said he was still gathering details on the incident and will respond as soon as possible. Now, days after reopening of the Niger Republic land and air borders by the federal government of Nigeria, Nigerian authorities have maintained their entry points closed. Nigeria announced the reopening of its borders with Niger Republic on March 13, 2024, while security operatives like the Nigerian Customs Service and the Nigerian Immigration Service have eased movement along border communities. Their counterparts across the borders have remained adamant. This is as residents of border communities, especially on the Nigerian side, on Thursday, expressed optimism that with the directive of President Bola Tinubu to reopen the borders with Niger Republic, life would be easier for them and their neighbors, especially in terms of trading. President Tinubu's directive was in line with the decision of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, Authority of Heads of State and Government at its extraordinary summit on February 24, 2024 in Abuja. After the reopening of the land borders, checks in the affected states revealed that on the Nigerian side, the borders have been reopened in majority of the areas, but it is a different story on the Nigerian side. Abdullah Yamidi is joining us to give a situation report on the border closure. Good evening, Abdullah Yamidi.
Thank you for being there for us.
Thank you for joining us. Now, what is the situation like in Katsina at the border with Niger? What's happening? What have you learned about this development so far?
Well, to my own understanding, there are three critical issues here to look at. Number one is the issue of border itself. Number two, the issue of movement. And number three, the issue of trading between the residents of the border communities. For the issue of border, the Nigerian government has issued a statement and directed border officials talking about customs and immigrations to ensure ease of doing business. Already we are aware that the two main issues that take place across international border are the movement of people and goods for trade. So the movement of people between Nigeria and Niger Republic was not affected by either the ECOWAS sanctions or the Niger border closure. That is largely due to long history, cordiality and relationship, intermarriages and other cultural and religious links between the two countries. What I'm trying to say here is that despite all the sanctions and border closures, and of course between Nigeria and Niger Republic, there are still movement between residents or other citizens of the two countries. Trading which involves everyday buying and selling by the residents of the border communities was also not affected that much, because people, especially from Niger Republic, cross into the Nigerian border communities, buy and sell goods almost on daily basis. But when you talk about the formal trading transaction, that is where the problem lies, because at the moment, Niger border with Nigeria remain closed, and that may be subjected to further bilateral communications. The NURTW here in Katsina, or rather in Jibia, heavy trucks and buses units told me that the movement of goods and services between the two countries is yet to commence. They are also assuring that people movement from Nigeria to Niger, from Niger to Nigeria, that one is intact and without any hindrance from both countries. But many residents are saying the border opening by the Nigerian authorities is coming at a time when its impacts may hardly be felt by the Nigerian people. This is due to continuous devaluation of the naira. If you look at the exchange rate, you will agree with me that the opening of the border may only be of benefit to Nigerian citizens more than the Nigerian citizens. Even at the moment, they do cross with little amount of money and buy huge goods. But many Nigerian traders cannot bear that because of the exchange rate. And that is the situation at the moment.
All right, you've given us quite a lot there. And if I understand you correctly, movement was not really affected by the border closure as announced by the government a few months back. And then, of course, informal trading, just walking in to buy something, wasn't affected either. But I believe what we were talking about that was affected was maybe the movement of trucks into Nigeria and outside Nigeria to Niger and from Niger, if I understand you correctly.
Indeed, that is what I mean.
So now, this is happening. Of course, we know that trade business is important for things to go well for the ECOWAS region. Now, what are the authorities saying regarding this non-responsive move from the Niger military government?
Well, at the moment here in Katsina, there was no official statement regarding the what the Niger authorities are doing, because, like you said, the Niger authorities remain adamant regarding the border reopening in Nigeria. In fact, somebody was even telling me that he do conduct his businesses in Niger Republic. He was telling me that they blocked all routes, even the illegal routes that were hitherto being used by their business people were blocked since the border opening, I think some hours ago or some days ago here in Nigeria. So I think there is need for this issue of bilateral talks between the authorities here in Nigeria and, of course, in Niger Republic. If not for that, I don't think for let's maybe in the coming days we'll think of something else.
Okay. All right, Abdullah Ahmadi, thank you so much for joining us and giving us this update on the situation at the border in Katsina State. Thank you.
Thank you most sincerely.
Now let's move to Nasarawa State, where a 2-month-old baby has been found after it was abandoned by yet to be identified woman in Angwan Maina area of Lafia local government area of Nasarawa State. Umar Mohammed reports that the baby found between some residential houses behind the correctional center, Lafia, opposite Government Secondary School Maina, was seen lying on the ground. His report is presented from our studio.
The baby was abandoned at the location for several hours before its cry drew the attention of one Yakubu Sule who was returning home. The incident happened 30 minutes before midnight of Friday, March 15th.
I found the baby while I was returning back home at about 11:30 p.m. on Friday night, and what I did was to report the matter to a ward head of Angwan Mena behind Lafia Correctional Center. However, I looked around the area trying to search for the mother of the baby, but all efforts proved abortive, as the mother of the innocent baby could not be sighted at that moment of the night. Although it was a serious argument between me and my wife, but I had to plead with her before she finally accepted to breastfeed the baby. I had to accept the order from my husband to breastfeed the baby in order not to allow the baby to die. However, I am a mother and I know the pain in having baby.
The ward head of Angwan Maina, Lafia local government area of Nasarawa State, Idris Muhammad, reacted to the incident.
The matter was reported to me by one of my neighbors, Mr. Yakubu Sule, at exactly 7:15 a.m. However, investigation is ongoing to fish out the woman. If caught, she will be handed over to the police for further interrogation and prosecution to serve as a deterrent to others.
The officer in charge of Nasarawa Children's Home, Charity Lawrence, said the matter has not been reported to her yet. Meanwhile, the police, as at press time, were yet to react to the incident.
Dates are popular across the Muslim community this time of the year because of its historical significance in the month of Ramadan. In Kano, the price of dates has surged amidst heightened demand during the Ramadan fasting period. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin in this report reveals that an 80 kg bag of dates is currently fetching 130,000 naira, marking a significant increase from last year's prices.
For over 10 years, Nura Awal has been selling dates in Kofar Wambai Market Road in Kano City. He says it has never been this bad, where dates become so expensive and difficult for the poor man to afford.
Not everybody can afford dates these days because it is very expensive. I have been in this business for over 10 years and have never seen a difficult moment like this where people are buying dates as if they are buying sugar.
According to traders, 80 kg bag of dates is now sold at about 130,000 naira, which almost doubles the price of 50 kg bag of sugar.
We are selling one measure of dates at 3,200 and sometimes 3,500, while an 80 kg bag is about 130 naira. Sometimes people come to buy but end up going back without buying because it has become too expensive. Inside the market, a few customers are trying to buy dates because during the Ramadan fast, Muslims make use of date to break their fast. Some people have attributed the price increase to foreign exchange. Secondly, closure of Nigerians' land and air borders has also affected the business. But thank God, the presidency has recently ordered the opening of the borders. So, by the grace of God, dates will become affordable.
The federal government has ordered the reopening of border with Niger, from where the dates is usually imported into Nigeria, and traders are hopeful that the price will come down in no distant time. Idris Jubrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
In Kaduna, following the rising cost of living occasioned by skyrocketing prices, foodstuffs in the month of Ramadan, residents in Rigasa community in Igabi local government area of the state are resorting to buy low-grade rice that was ordinarily meant to be discarded as chaff to break their fast. The residents, who are mostly women, say they hardly get 1 square meal in a day as the economic situation has affected their husbands, who are low-income earners. Trust TV's Bello Musa visited a market at Rigasa and sent in the report.
Line the Tower Market is located at the heart of Rigasa community. The market mostly enjoys the patronage of the poor due to its location and the nature of commodities sold there. Rice has remained a major staple food in Nigeria, but this resident can't afford it anymore, so they are settling for this, which should ordinarily be discarded, just to put a meal on the table.
We buy what we can afford, so instead of buying one measure, we buy half or quarter so that we can put something in our stomachs. I can't even afford the rice, even the one that is considered chaff. We now eat the dusty and black rice, which ordinarily should be thrown away because it is not hygienic. This is what the economy has subjected us to because we must feed our children.
Sanusi Musa is a low-income earner. He says he doesn't care whether the rice is unhygienic, provided he can afford it and it can serve the purpose of food. I came to buy the dirty rice because I cannot afford the regular rice, though it is not advisable to buy it because of health implications. I have no choice. I will buy it while hoping that the situation will change for good someday soon. Amina Abdullahi is a mother, but according to her, life has not been easy, especially in the month of Ramadan, as they find it difficult to get food for breaking the fast.
I always buy it. 3 days ago, I commenced my fast with gari, but the day after, I did not fast because I couldn't get food to break my fast. The same thing happened the next day. So with the way things are, we eat whatever we get as food, including this kind of rice. They are poor, so they buy the black rice and we sell it at the rate of 1,300 naira per measure. We don't sell it before because it is not very healthy, but now we do because of the situation in the country.
In order to ease the hardship, the residents are calling on the government to provide them with palliative. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Such a sad one there. Now, as the cost of living crisis continues to bite harder in the country, some children in Jigawa State have resorted to collecting local manure and selling same to farmers to earn a living. This has become imperative for many households as parents find it increasingly difficult to provide enough food for their families. Ali Rabiu met some of the boys collecting the local manure for sale in Dutse. His report is represented.
Local manure is applied to soil to improve its fertility. Unlike fertilizer, manure is cheap, available, and considered environment friendly. Children in urban and semi-urban places in Jigawa State may have neglected school because of hunger and poverty. 13-year-old Abdullahi Umar, who lives in Takur site Duse, said he is collecting and selling manure just to earn a living. My friends and I go about to gather this manure to sell to get money. This manure is what I gather to sell to get money to spend. I attend school and I am in SS2. Rabi Muhammad is a farmer who buys manure from the boys. He said children compete in collecting the manure for onward delivery to the farmers to get paid. I buy a portion at the rate of 300 naira, 500 naira, 700 naira, and even 1000 naira from children like Umar. I can tell you that apart from the children, women also engage in selling the local manure to make ends meet. Most of them sell the manure to buy food and other basic items needed at their homes. Children engage in selling manure because hardship is too much. We don't have any other thing to do than to cry out to the government to help reduce the cost of living. Areas where most government workers reside in Duse metropolis, such as Takuru Site Housing Estate, Godia Miyati Housing Estate, are among areas where manure collectors can be found.
Still on the cost of living, but over in the southeast, Nigerians across the country are beginning to express displeasure with the non-reduction in the prices of goods and services, despite efforts by the administration to cushion the effect of the cost of living crisis in the country. According to some of them who spoke to Trust TV News in Owerri, Imo State capital, actions such as the raid of bureau de change operators over dollar racketeering, as well as some supermarkets for price fixing, coupled with other policies, are yet to yield positive results as prices remain on the rise. Trust TV's Ajibade Awofeso tells us more.
With each passing day, Nigerians have continued to pay higher for goods and services, a situation that has continued to deplete the purchasing power of the average Nigerian. With the government trying to shore up the naira, ensure that operators do not exploit Nigerians through price fixing and other economic buffers in the pipeline, Nigerians were hoping to see a significant reduction in prices of goods, especially food items. But this is yet to take effect, leaving many frustrated.
About the prices increase, when you want to buy anything, they will tell you dollar this, dollar that. So it's really affecting, and I wish or hope that they may reduce it to the former price that it was.
Petroleum is high when our country is producing it. The dollar increasing is affecting the economy so bad, and I'm not happy about it. Tinubu just entered as a president, not even up to a year. Things became more worse.
They are calling on government at all levels to move beyond politics and come up with concrete measures to address the situation.
And normal price of dollar, based on my understanding, normal price of dollar should be high. Yes, say dollar come down, let it go back to 400 or 300 manageably. So then we'll know that dollar has come down. So you cannot tell me that fuel that is at 750 naira, 700 naira. Somebody now decide to do the dollars fuel at 650. You now come and tell me that fuel has gone down. Is 15 naira anything? Okay, dollar left this and came down to 1,600. As somebody is here telling me that dollar has gone down. Or on Nayabu today, dollar is still where it is. Let them don't fool themselves, please.
But it's high time it starts reflecting in the price of the products you buy. You know, that's the main case of the dollar. Is not what the main case of the issue. The issue is how does the dollar reflect in what you buy? It makes us to buy things at a higher cost. Okay, it's reduced. How much are we now buying now? Are we buying lesser or are we buying higher? So that's the case. But the reduction is cool. The federal government tries very much to expedite efforts to reduce it, and everybody have appreciated their efforts. So we believe it continues reducing this way and not go up again.
Those stressed by the present hardship bedeviling the country, the residents are still optimistic that something good can still come out of the current leadership of the country if the right policies are made and implemented. Ajibade Awofeso, Trust TV News, Owerri.
Away from that, after 2 weeks of blackout, electricity has finally been restored in the Borno state capital. The power outage disrupted businesses and caused more discomfort for residents due to the heat wave and fasting. Trust TV's Beatrice Kuritsi tells us more.
More than 2 weeks ago, Maiduguri city was thrown into darkness after power cables were destroyed by terrorists along the Maiduguri-Damaturu axis, while the emergency gas station, the second alternative for electricity, developed a fault. This impacted the daily activities of businesses and residents observing the Ramadan fast and worsened the effects of the heat on many. But 2 days ago, electricity was restored, with some residents expressing joy with the development.
It was terrible. There was no water. Everywhere was very hot. The weather, Maiduguri is very hot weather. And besides, the Muslims are observing their fasting. So it makes the whole thing very terrible.
It was very hectic. It was very hectic before. The only thing we do now is just to manage, maybe get charges with our phone. We buy little fuel, just maybe a half liter or a liter. We start our gen and charge our phone, and that is all. Because even the fuel is not affordable. So that's how we have been coping.
Jiya don rashin wutan nan gaskiya mutane sun shiga halin haulayi. Gaskiya an shiga wani tsadar rayuwa wanda ba shi don ko ruwan sha ma a unguwa ya zama aiki ba.
I'm so happy the light was restored, because the lack of electricity affected us so much that it made things pretty much expensive. It was difficult to get water in our community too, but now that there's light, we are happy.
Fama wannan rashin wutan nan din ya taba kowa da kowa, kuma ya taba ko ina da ko ina. Saboda musamman wannan azumin da muke yi muna bukatan ko ruwan sanyi.
During this fasting period, we need cold water, and the lack of electricity made it difficult for us. We bought one ice block for 300 naira, but when the light returned, we bought 3 ice blocks for 100 naira. So now you see, it means that with stable electricity, life will be easy, and we want the government to intervene in prices of foodstuffs. With the electricity restored, many are hopeful that such an experience doesn't reoccur, especially during the heat season. Beatrice Kuruti, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
This is the News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up, traders call on Lagos government to provide alternative before demolishing MKO market. More when we return. Please just stay with us. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. And you're just staying with us. It is News Hour on Trust TV. A recap of our top stories. 4 senior officers, 12 soldiers killed in Delta as Chief of Defense Staff Musa orders probe. Days after Nigeria reopens border, Niger Republic prevents entry in Katsina and Jigawa. To more news, the Edo State Police Command on Saturday commenced rescue operations following the kidnap of the People's Democratic Party PDP chairman in the state, Tony Azegbemi. Gunmen had on Friday abducted Azegbemi shortly after a meeting with the Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki at the Government House in Benin City. After confirming the incident in a statement, the Edo State government said it is working closely with security operatives to ensure the victim regains freedom. The police public relations officer in the state, Chidi Wabozo, called on Edo residents to avail the police of useful information that would lead to the timely rescue of the PDP chairman. The gunmen were said to have abandoned Azegbemi's car along Sapele Road and took him away in their cars. The Nigerian Labour Congress and the Labour Party on Saturday clashed over the forthcoming national convention of the party being planned by the Julius Abure-led National Working Committee. While the NLC said it was never in any way informed of any plan to hold a national convention, the Labour Party, in a swift reaction, argued that nothing concerns the Congress and the conduct of its affairs and warned that the NLC President Joe Ajaero should not meddle in what doesn't concern him. In a statement jointly signed by the chairperson and secretary of NLC Political Commission, Titus Amba and Chris Uyot, the Congress described the planned convention as, quote, a misadventure in political mischief, mismanagement and misdemeanor gone too far. NLC said it expected the Labour Party being led by Abure after the judgment of the Court of Appeal to recognize the statutory membership of organised labour in the NWC of the Labour Party, constitute the Board of Trustees of the party and conduct an all-inclusive national convention in line with the court judgment. But in a swift reaction, the spokesman of the party, Obio Raifo, will advise Joe Ajaero to resign as NLC president to contest LP chairmanship rather than criticizing members of NWC. Also noted that nothing can stop the party's convention as planned since the constitution was clear on eligible participants. Ibrahim Ejibade, a resident of William Street in Jos, North Local Government Area of Plateau State, who accused Noah Kekere of Muruna Clinic and Maternity Jos of kidney theft, has died. According to the deceased family, the late Ejibade was said to have battled with unstable health status ever since he underwent surgery for hernia in 2021 performed by Kekere. Confirming the death, Ejibade's son, Muhammad Sani, said their father passed on Wednesday evening and has since been buried according to Islamic rites. Last September, the late Ejibade accused Kekere of removing his right kidney. He was subsequently arrested following a report lodged at the Nasarawa Gwan Police Division regarding the removal of Kehinde Kamal's right kidney during an operation in 2018. Kekere was later sued at the State High Court by the Plateau State Ministry of Justice on behalf of Ejibade and Kehinde Kamal, who also accused same doctor of organ harvesting. Noah Kekere and his two alleged accomplices, Dr. Philip Dachong and a staff of Muruna Clinic, Yusuf Abdullahi, are standing trial but have since been granted bail. In a surprising turn of events, Agege local government area of Lagos State has revealed plans to demolish the Moshudabela Murden Market by the end of this month, leaving traders in a state of shock and uncertainty. Concerned by this sudden announcement, traders are reaching out to Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, urging him to step in and advocate for reconsideration of this decision. Victoria Chokolo visited the market and brings us this report as presented from our studio.
Traders at the bustling Moshudabela Murden Market in Agege, Lagos State find themselves in a state of uncertainty as they grapple with the looming threat of the market's demolition. Renowned for its vibrant shoemaking and tailoring activities, the market has long been a hub of commerce and community. However, their livelihoods face an uncertain future as they recently received an abrupt notice of evacuation from the local government authorities, spearheaded by the chairman, Ganiyu Kola Egunjobi. According to the notice, traders are expected to vacate the premises by the end of March 31st, 2024. Shop owners expressed their frustration and dismay at what they perceive as unfair treatment from both the local government and the State House of Assembly. With their businesses at stake, they appeal for understanding and support from the authorities during this challenging time.
They just bring the notice, the first notice they will bring come to the Moshood Abiola market is on the 11th of January 2024.
What we are after, there is never a provision for us. Where are we going? Those who even bought the markets, bought the shops, no provision for them. Those of us that they wanted to evacuate, no provision for us. All what they are telling us is just to vacate the market, which is not in accordance with the people-oriented government.
Different associations in the modern market say the local government chairman is refusing to meet with them and discuss their concerns.
Begging the government to come to our own rescue, to rescue us, know how they are going to do us in this market, that we don't want to live here. Because if you are to live here, it has not been long that I bought this shop. It's not even up to a year. So the money is just like that. So there's nowhere to accumulate the money again or to use the money to cover the rate again.
I'm begging our governor, in the name of Allah Almighty, will bless him that we need another place. Even though they want to renovate our market, that one doesn't need to drive us like that. So then please to give us another area, or they should give us another time to have another place.
The traders say they do not oppose the infrastructure development in the state, but provisions should be made for them before carrying out the demolition exercise.
You're still watching News Hour on Trust TV. The news continues after the break. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. Let's get to business. Submarine Cable Company Main One says it may take up to 2 weeks to repair undersea cable cut, which disrupted internet services in Nigeria, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal and other West African and East African countries since Thursday. The company said the cause of the network outage was a result of a fault on the Main One network. Since Thursday, telecommunications subscribers and bank users have been stranded as the disruption paralyzed digital transactions and internet communications. In an update, the company said actions have been taken to mobilize a vessel to expeditiously repair the cable in the deep ocean. Main One said restoration capacity for temporary relief would be made available for customers. Still in business, the Debt Management Office DMO has clarified recent news reports alleging the appointment of transaction advisors for potential Eurobond issuance by the federal government, saying the reports were not accurate. The appointment of transaction advisors by the DMO is usually done in accordance with the provisions of the Public Procurement Act 2007 and is subject to the approval of the Federal Executive Council, FEC. The Debt Office, in a statement on Friday, said the issuance of Eurobonds by the federal government of Nigeria in the international capital market is subject to the approval of FEC and receipt of the resolution of the National Assembly in accordance with the provisions of the Fiscal Responsibilities Act 2007 and Debt Management Office Establishment, etc. Act 2003. DMO said it was yet to get the approval of the Federal Executive Council and the resolution of national lawmakers to issue Eurobonds. On the foreign scene, a day after his release from jail, Senegal opposition leader Bassirou Diomaye Faye drew hundreds of supporters at his first public appearance as a presidential contender on Friday for March 24 elections, promising to tackle corruption. Next to him, the popular firebrand opposition leader Ousmane Sonko urged supporters to vote for his ally. Firebrand Sonko, who was seen as the key challenger to President Macky Sall's ruling party, threw his support behind Faye after being disqualified over defamation conviction unrelated to his detention last July. He says the charges were politically motivated, which authorities deny. Momentum has gathered pace for the opposition as support for Sall has dropped during his second term in office, which will be his final one. Due to constitutional term limits, Sall will step down, and for the first time in Senegal's history, the incumbent will not be on the ballot. Most of Sonko supporters are expected to vote for Faye, making the latter a serious threat to the other 18 presidential hopefuls, analysts have said. And it's now time for sports with Adini Ajishafe.
Nigeria's national handball team, Golden Arrows, has qualified for the semi-final of the handball event at the 13th African Games ongoing in Ghana, following their 30-18 victory over Mali. The team, led by coach Rafiu Salami, knew their job was to get an emphatic victory against Mali, who had lost to Egypt in their previous match with a large goal margin. And they came through with a resounding victory despite a few turnovers. Nigeria will play Egypt in their final group match on Sunday at 5 p.m. Nigerian time. And still in African Games, Team Nigeria Elizabeth Morsi Zanu has made history at the African Games, becoming the first athlete to win a medal in the arm wrestling event at African Games. The 13th African Games in Accra, Ghana was the first time that the arm wrestling would be a scoring event. Zanu became the first athlete to land a medal, winning gold for Nigeria in the women's 55 kg, defeating Ghana's Rachel Lankai. And in basketball, Nigeria's women's basketball team, the Tigress, will know their opponents for Paris 2024 Olympics on March 19, as the draws for men and women Olympic basketball tournaments are finalized. The draw will take place at Patrick Baumann House of Basketball in Switzerland, overseen by basketball icons Penny Taylor and former NBA superstar Carmelo Anthony. Nigerian senior men basketball team, the Tigers, did not qualify for the competition for the first time since 2012 London edition. The women's team is set for a consecutive appearance after participating in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Women's Olympic basketball tournament Paris 2024 draw principles will be determined by FIBA World Ranking with geographical considerations. The 12 teams will be divided into 4 pots. Each group will consist of a minimum of 1 and a maximum of 2 teams from Europe, while Africa, the Americas, Asia, and Oceania will have not more than 1 team per continent in each group. The Tigers are in Pot 4 alongside Puerto Rico and Germany. Reigning world champion United States in Pot 1 with China and Australia. Pot 2 includes Spain, Canada, and Belgium, while Pot 3 features France, Japan, and Serbia. That's sport news. I'm Adeni Ajishafe.
Thank you, Adeni, for that sports update. Now, just before we go, here's a kicker. An encounter with a leather craftsman as a teenager inspired Paula Marowa to enter the leatherwork business. Now, in her late 20s, Marowa owns a blooming business with 8 employees. Take a look.
I did not have enough capital to start the leather business. By the way, it is a high capital business. So what I would do is, we started with shoes as our first product. So what I would do is I would go to the clients and then advertise the product, get a deposit which would cover cost of production to Mr. Stole. Then I deliver the product to the client, then get the balance as my profit. As we were in lockdown, I was working with someone who was working from home and I was working online. What I then just decided to do was get into a partnership with a delivery company that would then do the deliveries for me. They would go and collect deposits for me, come back to me, write receipts, go and collect the products and deliver to the client, obviously for a fee, but it would be billed to the client. So we made money during COVID doing the very same thing, because most people had birthdays, had Valentine's, had a lot of things, but they didn't have a lot of options, considering most stores were closed, so competition was minimal.
That the leather value chain is facing, but thanks to the strategy that we have, there are solutions, there are steps where partners, the government, and the players are finding opportunities that can re-establish the leather value chain or even make it better. Finance, life becomes very easy.
What a very inspiring one there. And with that, we've come to the end of News Hour tonight. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms for more news, documentary, and programs. I am Chiamaka Nwafo. On behalf of the news production crew, thank you for joining us.